Hey all, it's Steph, and I think I'm about to discuss with you the signs that I saw in my own children that let me know they have autism. And we'll start from the very beginning. I'll do it like a story time, and I'll just tell you what happened, okay? So, it all started whenever, I think it was around one of the first series of shots, which I guess would be around 3 months. We had been having a pretty normal time. Matthew was inconsolable. No matter what I did, if I held him, he would scream. He would just scream, and I would hold him, and then I'd put him down, and he would be fine. He would be fine rocking in the swing. He couldn't stand to be touched. So that was a big, big sign. Then we had this play mat, and Matthew, who was the one that had most of the issues, but we had this play mat, and we put it down on the floor, and it was like a water mat, which meant it was shaped like a turtle, and it had little fish inside of it. Like, they were made out of foam stuff that would float in the water. So I put him on it on his belly, and every time I put him on it before, he would touch it and make the things go down and come back up, and interact with it like a child's supposed to. And this last time I had put him on it, he put his head down, and he didn't do anything. He did nothing. And the progress with Sam was much slower, but I noticed whenever I put him in their bouncer seat, all they would do was it was very violent, kind of rocking back and forth, and then they got to where they would play music on their toys that play music and do this over and over and over again while they did like this with their hands, and flapping. Matthew used to have bruises and scratches on his face and on his shoulders, and I didn't understand why he was bruising and scratching until, I noticed the flapping was getting out of hand. And so this is whenever they were getting a little bit older, and as they got older, there were more things. They would dance, but they would laugh. One of them would laugh in one room, and the other one would laugh in the other room, and they would laugh, which is usually a really good thing, but it would be about nothing, then it would get maniacal, and they would throw things, and they would break everything. They broke everything, not like normal babies do. They thought it was funny. They thought it was funny to hurt each other and to hurt. They didn't understand. They didn't have empathy for years and years and years. I mean, it was really hard for them to understand. Whenever they got older, Matt would hurt his sister, and I would tell him, "Stop, that hurts her." And he would say, he didn't talk for years, but he would do like that because it didn't hurt him. It hurt her. So he didn't understand that or relate to that because he didn't see her as being separate from him. But they never slept. They never slept. I was so tired. I mean, it was constant screaming. Just one would scream, and then the other one would scream. And then whenever they were a little bit older, we'll get to a little bit older, they were sitting in car seats. They wouldn't talk, but I listened behind me. I heard my car blinker, and I was like, it's not on. And I kept on looking, and you turn everything down and listen really hard. And the kid behind you was making the sound of a blinker spot on. It was Matthew, of course, again. And then, I would hear sirens, because he had listened to the sirens, so he got to where he could make the sound of sirens. Just completely like one, exactly like one. Then as they got older, they didn't play with toys. They lined up their toys. There were trains of toys, like one thing after another, one toy after another. I'm trying to remember what else it was like. From one end of the house to another, they would line up books. They wouldn't read books, but they loved books so that they could put them in a line or just stack them up. They like to stack them, but not play with them. And they had we have rugs. Excuse me, I just burped. That was rude, wasn't it? But we have rugs that are maps, and they have roads and schools and all these buildings and stuff on them. And they would put their cars on there, but they never played with the cars. Instead, what they would do is they would make explosion noises and flap, over and over. But it sounded so real. Their sound effects were awesome. Maybe one day they'll make the sound effects again. But they would run into walls and things like that because, they weren't real aware of themselves. It's it's a sensory disorder. You know, there's sensory processing that goes wrong. They would take off their clothes in Walmart and their shoes and throw them. And the reason why they're doing that is because, you know, lights direct the noise. Oh, it's terrible taking them anywhere. But of course, you know, you take your kids. That's how they learn. So it's not like I wasn't taking them. I was constantly taking them. They had to learn to adapt and to adjust. They've got to live within society with the rest of us, you know. So it was, I can tell you, it was a struggle. They would come home from school, and one of the reasons why we homeschool, they would come home from school, and they kept it all in at school, you know, all their meltdowns and anything and everything. And they would come in from the door to their room. They systematically threw the lamps. Man, it could be furniture. It could have been the chair. They ripped apart our chair. Our furniture was destroyed. There were holes in the wall, backs of the door, everything on the back of the door. The doors were destroyed. They would run into it, run into the wall, or run into the door, or just tear it up on their way because they couldn't stand it. They could not stand surviving all day with all of that sensory stuff, you know, coming in. It's like nails in their heads or whatever, and the meltdowns and the not sleeping. Oh gosh, it was hard, and we've come so far, you know, which is awesome. But that first time that they went into, I'll never forget this. You guys with kids with autism, just keep, you know your kids have a lot more ability than you're even aware of. You know, your kids are capable of so much more than you even know. And my kids didn't talk for years. I mean, nothing. Now they're not quiet. But Elizabeth came around. Elizabeth was born, and they did better with that. But here we go. Here's what happened. It was just a moment. You know how you have aha moments. Okay, so we're sitting in this school, and the boys are enrolling, and I say to the teacher, and it's always Matthew. It's always Matthew. I know that sounds bad, but it always is. Oh my gosh, I forgot to tell y'all one more thing before I go on to this story, okay? So I'm looking everywhere. I'm like, where's Sam? Where's Sam? I can't find him anywhere, and I was screaming, Sam, you know, where are you? Because I thought I lost my child, and I didn't know how he got out of my house, because we always had, they couldn't get out of the house. Because, you know, people with autism like to wonder. I looked forever and ever, and then finally Matthew showed me where he was. He was up in a cabinet, in a linen cabinet, where I kept all of the blankets and stuff, and he was just curled up, sleeping. And apparently there's a name for that, and it's called denning, and they like to do it because they like to be in a confined area and everything. So if you ever lose your kid, check the shelves in the closet, way high up. They would be on top of the refrigerator. They would do things that you would not imagine kids could do. It was crazy. But anyway, my story with the school, you know, I had my hopes up. I was like, we're gonna hold him back a year, or maybe y'all can help me hold him back a year. And the lady looks at me and says his IQ is, and said what it was, and it was, you know, it was. Whenever you give somebody an IQ test who has autism, you're not really testing their IQ, because he laid on the floor. It's stated on his IQ test he laid on the floor and did not participate. So you can't really judge it. But she said that they only held back children that there was hope for, and there was no hope for him, so there's no reason to hold him back. And I don't think that anybody's ever made me so mad that I shut up. But that's the one time somebody did. I mean, I didn't even know what to say. So I got an advocate. You know, a good thing to do is go through MHMR. Get you an advocate. Always have somebody go with you. Don't ever step into an IEP, an ART, or anything by yourself. Do not do it. Take somebody with you, because you cannot absorb all that information, all those papers you're signing and everything. You're not going to know what you sign the next day, because it's very much a stressful situation. And even though you think you're present and in that moment, you're probably not. You're probably not completely cognizant of everything that's going on around you. It's very hard to be in that moment whenever you've got that much information flying at you and you're having to make decisions for the next year of your child's life, right? So anyway, what I was saying about that is that hit me so hard, and it was so awful because she said that about a child she hadn't even had a conversation with, and she said that his IQ meant that he was basically vegetable-like and all these horrible things. And anyway, my point with all of that is that, I mean, y'all have seen Matthew in the videos, and probably Sam. I don't know. Sam doesn't really do videos a lot anymore. But that's the child she said there was no hope for. That's the kid she said there's no hope for. And that's a huge deal. So that's what I saw whenever, those are the signs I saw with autism and what happened. And if you have any questions about autism, any of us would be glad to answer, I'm pretty sure. I mean, Sam says he doesn't believe in it, and Matthew likes to, you know, just act like he never had it, which is cool. But the thing is if you have any questions, I'll be glad to help in any way I can. I don't know how much help I could be, but you know, just make sure that you know something about the resources in your area. Make sure that you have someone who has your back, which could be MHMR, could be, you know, any advocacy center. Make sure somebody has your back. But thank you guys so much for watching. Much love, and keep on smiling, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.